Hello YouTube, welcome back to another video. In today's video we are gonna be spectating Euw Kha Zix, who is a Challenger US Kha Zix main. And we're gonna be spectating one of his recent solo queue games from patch 12.9. And he's playing the Kha Zix versus Nidalee matchup, which is typically very good for Kha Zix. And we're basically just gonna see what decisions he's doing in order to win a game in Challenger Elo. So first I'll break down the game in terms of what I would have personally done, and then we'll see if Euw Kha Zix is gonna do the same or if he will do something different. So first things to note is that we have Lucian with Nami on enemy team, which is a very strong 2v2 combo. So this means that for Nidalee this is her strong side, so she wants to play towards bot side of the map. And on our side we have Saya and Rakan combo, also fairly strong 2v2. And is also our strongest side in terms of ganking. In terms of the 2v2, in the early game, the Lucian Nami will win. But Saya Rakan will eventually, especially in team fights, have really huge impact. And then when it comes to mid lane, Nidalee will have a really tough time ganking LeBlanc due to her high mobility on W and her ult. And in top lane, we have Chroma, who has her shield, which also gives her movement speed, making it a bit difficult for Nidalee to hit those spears because there's no CC on top lane. So Nidalee only really has good ganks on bot lane, unless if the wave is very overextended for Chroma or LeBlanc. For Kha Zix, he could also go for ganking the Gwen and the Aurelia, but the LeBlanc is not going to carry as hard as the bot lane, and same thing goes for Chroma. Chroma is more of like a utility top laner. So I'm expecting both junglers to be playing on bot side of the map, and if I was playing Kha Zix in this game, I would have started on red buff, and then I would have done wolves into, or not wolves, raptors into Grump, and then I would have been looking for a bot side gank if it's possible. If it's not possible, I would still hover towards my bot side, and then simply take my wolves and then Grump, and then see if I can go gank bot lane. Otherwise I'll go to my Scuttercrab and then go look to gank bot lane, but we will see what actually ends up happening here. So, coming fresh out of the base, Euw Kha started with a blue smite. I would have done the same, because this is, as I said, Kha Zix's favorite matchup. Nidalee players will typically do a cheese invade level 2, where they start red buff or blue buff and instantly go invade. So typically people put a defensive ward in order to spot this cheese. And then you basically prepare it if Nidalee is going to invade you, so we'll see if Euw Kha does the same. He does not put any ward down, but he is staying for a decent amount of time to make sure that they don't late invade. And he does start the red buff. And then we'll see if he's gonna go for a full clear or if he's gonna go for a fast clear source spot. Smites the red buff because the leash was not too good from Chroma, which is completely fine. He then does the raptors, and then if he can't gank bot lane, he should go to the Grump. If he realizes I can't gank bot, then he should just farm wolves, Grump into blue buff. Which he does end up doing, and that's because his bot lane is pushing in, so he can't really gank when enemy bot lane is underneath their turret. So he just realizes, okay, I can't gank bot lane, so let me just clear all my jungle camps here. Then he's probably gonna look towards doing the bot scuttle, and then he will see if he can do anything on bot or mid lane, and if he can't do that, then he will probably look to reset. Nidalee is also bot side. She has full cleared 6 jungle camps, that's why she's level 4. Both junglers are on bot side of the map. We have the fight going in. Can't flash W's but misses. Aurelia is coming down first, so we have to back off here. So I get hit by another spear. Exhaust is forced out, but everyone ends up surviving in the end. So far, both junglers kinda did what I would expect them to, and Kha Zix did exactly what I would have done personally. So far, no huge difference in gameplay. Kha Zix does decide to stay here, probably just to soak up some free experience and gold, but because this is a cannon wave, The bot lane will most likely only lose one minion. Lucian dashes forward, goes in, and Kha Zix ends up dying. So yeah, that is pretty bad. And there was no need to defend the tower because it was a cannon minion, so the cannon minion was gonna tank a lot of tower hits before hitting any other minions, and yeah, therefore I would just have reset. So Kha Zix now coming fresh out of base, and he realizes that the bot wave is gonna slowly push into the enemy bot lane, so I would personally just have full cleared from top towards bot. But I think we will just see raptors into bot side. I don't think Kha Zix will take the crux here. He just wants to be on bot side of the map again as fast as possible, because that is again the strong side for him to gank, and he does. Saya is recalling and the wave is being pushed into enemy tower, so it will now bounce back into us again, meaning that we can soon gank on bot lane whenever Saya comes back to lane. Hits level 5 here, nearly Nami is spotted. They could take the fight here because Lucian is not there, but they would have to take it fast because their bot lane have to go and take the farm underneath the turret. Then looking for a mid lane gank. Aurelius going in, very nice timing from the Kha Zix. Knight comes out, and it is a free kill. Really good patience from the Kha Zix, waiting for Aurelia to use Q aggressively, and also the E aggressively, so that Aurelia doesn't have a way of getting out again. Then goes to top side to clear the crux, and then after the crux, Kha Zix should just reset and then play towards bot side again. Maybe he can do red buff as well, and then reset. So he will hit level 6 here, and then he will do R-Wolf. And then he should reset and go towards bot. At least that's what I would have done, but he decides to greed for the Scuttle Crab as well. Reason why I personally would have went for Scuttle is because I don't have Smite, so I'd feel a little bit afraid of doing this, but Kha Zix does not reset, realizes that Aurelia is pushing and goes straight for the gank once again. And it does pay out in the end. Yeah, another kill. Pretty greedy kill due to the fact that we haven't reset for a very long time, but with the ulti up, Kha Zix feels somewhat safe to do this gank. As long as he doesn't get hit by a Nidalee Spear or Nidalee W that can reveal him in his ult. Very smart hiding from the Kha Zix into the bush, because he saw Nidalee on the top side. So he was a bit afraid of potentially getting evaded, which he did. So that was pretty smart. And Kha Zix has not based yet, and he has 1.5k gold right now, so he is probably planning to stay out for a big enough back so that he can buy Prowler's Claw on next back. After this blue buff, he should reset, because there won't really be anything else to do on the map, and he does. Then Prowler's Claw does come out, and he leaves straight out of base. So now, due to the fact that Kha Zix is playing with First Strike, and he's also playing with Fuses Market, he can go for some pretty big recalls and basically get his items faster than the Nidalee can. So now that Kha Zix already has this Mythic, I would play very aggressive and outlook for kills whenever my ulti and my Prowler Claw is up for that combo. And whenever it's then on cooldown, I would look to just farm up or look for some objectives. Realizes that the Gwen is very low on HP, goes behind the tower to stop the Gwen from being able to escape. And slowly but surely the wave will crash, and then it's a free kill. Kha Zix didn't have the E, so he decided to use the Prowler's Claw just to get in range. If he did have E, I'm pretty sure he would have held that Prowler's Claw for a different kill. And then with that top lane kill, he's going straight into Rift Herald, because enemy team is playing for the Drake. Pretty good cross map. Immediately does end up contesting it, and Kha Zix decides to turn. Very greedy play from the Kha Zix. He really wanted that Rift Herald and ends up paying for it with his life. The idea behind it was good, but because there wasn't really any mid prio and the fact that Karma was very low on HP, it was a very greedy play to do, and it really simply just ends up going there. If it was a 1v1 and Nami wasn't there, Kha Zix could just have turned and won that 1v1, but due to the fact that Nami is also there and Rakan is not with Kha Zix, then they simply have to just give it up because it's just a losing play. Kha Zix going for a double longsword. He is probably looking for an Umbral Glaive. Looking for a bot side gank here. Rakan is looking for a flank, ulti into a W. Kha Zix follows up. Ease, but is not in range with crawlers. But here comes LeBlanc. It does end up giving a kill to the Saya. Kha Zix still has everything up, so he could still potentially look for something. He has ulti and he has Prowler's Claw up, so he could still look for a gank or a 1v1 fight. He should be able to win it, so that is what he's looking for at the moment. His red buff is up. He is probably suspicious of Nidalee potentially being there, invading. Realizes that red buff is gone. Aurelia was in there and ends up taking this kill. So now, for example, that we just use Prowlers and ulti as Kha Zix, I would just look to farm up and not really look for any huge plays, unless if it's a completely free play. So if we see that Nidalee is on one side of the map, then we would make a play on the other side. But besides that, simply just farm up until our cooldowns are back up again. Our abilities are back up again. But so far, gold wise, pretty even game. 7 to 9 in kills, 500 gold lead, and 1 Drake up for blue team. Kha Zix doesn't really have anything up, so I wouldn't personally be looking for a play here. He does also end up recalling, and he will probably go tier 2 boots. No, he goes Serrated Dirk into a triple longsword by selling his refillable. Okay, so no tier 2 boots. Personally, I would have went for the CDR boots here, just so I could have my Prowler's Claw up a little bit more often. Same thing for summoner spells. But he simply decides that he doesn't need the movement speed, would rather just have more lethality and more AD. So fairly aggressive from the Kha Zix. Especially because he doesn't need that third longsword to build into well, any of the lethality items. He just needs 2, so he decides to delay his mythic item, which I'm assuming is the Umbral Glaive, by that 350 gold. So now Kha Zix has his abilities up again, so he could look for an aggressive play, and it will be invading the enemy red buff. He doesn't immediately take it, he's waiting for the Nidalee to show. Nidalee is not showing, so he just takes it. And then I would just stay around bot side of the map now, due to the fact that Drake is spawning less than 60 seconds, due to this icon right here. Spots Nami, does the R into E Prowler's Claw combo. Personally, I would have just used ulti into Prowlers and then held my E in case they have flash. And I think that could maybe have been the difference between Kha Zix getting that kill and Nami escaping. Ends up trading 1-for-1 in mid lane. Saya ends up dying as well, and then I'll simply give up the dragon. Because it's now a 3v2 and we don't have our ulti or Prowler's Claw, so we're not really in a state where we can fight for this dragon. And now Gwen is also in mid lane, so it's actually a 4v2. So we should look to escape here. Kha Zix E's over the wall. Rakan follows with the E. Kha Zix flashes and E's out. Or Saya. Or the Rakan E's onto the Kha Zix again. So yeah, there wasn't really any point in staying there, because the fight was gonna be 3v2 until Gwen shows up, then it's a 4v2. So we just have to give that break up. Would simply just have been better to either reset and get out of the map faster, or farm topside camps, or get some vision in the topside area. Because if there are 4 people on bot side of the map, then there can only be 1 on topside, meaning that Kha Zix can have control over topside area. Spots there really are pushing. Again, the E into Prowler's combo. Personally, I've rarely used that combo myself, unless if I absolutely have to get in range. And most of the time I save that E in case they have flash or any type of dash to escape. But it really ends up dying, and because of that we now have top prio, so it's a free Rift Herald. Which I'm assuming we would then put in mid lane, just to open up the map a little bit more. Unless if this mid lane tower is already... yeah, this mid tower is gonna go down anyway. So possibly this Rift Herald will be used for the bot lane tower. Resets, and then let's see what mythic or legendary item goes for. He does go for the Umbra Glaive into another double longsword, so still 17 minutes into the game he has not went for tier 2 boots, even though most of the enemy team already has the boots. So he's still going just for raw AD. And then we also have W evolve second, which is no surprise. All high elo Kha Zix players basically lost this. So right now there's not really anything to do on the map, because both Rift Herald and Drake is down. So we can look for some free kill fights. Here is... I think Kha Zix was outside of the bush there. And then again another fight that does not go in our favor, because the enemy team is grouping up as 4 and we're grouping up as 3, meaning that taking that fight will just result in a loss.
Red team's turret has been destroyed.
And enemy team ends up taking the tower, and then Kha Zix ends up losing his top side, because now enemy team can just take control over the top side due to the fact that they have numbers advantage. Kha Zix doesn't really have his ulti up, so I'm not expecting any engage here from the Kha Zix. Does end up going in here. But it does result in him also dying for that, so again, because Kha Zix does not have ulti, there's not really any point in looking for a fight, because fighting with ulti makes Kha Zix very slippery, can go in and out really easily without taking any damage. Whereas if you don't have ulti, as soon as you go in and commit, you are most likely also going to die. So ends up dying and ends up going for a Last Whisper, and still does not upgrade his boots. 19 minutes in, still has tier 1 boots from Inspiration Tree. And ends up pathing towards his bot side, because his bot side camps are the only camps that are up right now on the map. Now Kha Zix has both ulti and Prowler's Claw up, so potentially he could look for some type of solo play or look to group up for a team fight. But right now he is just farming up, and we have the next dragon coming up in 1.5 minutes. Third dragon for blue team, if they get it, would put them on soul point. And it would be the first Drake for red team. trying to look for Nami, but realizes that he can't get in range because Nami's stepping back, so he ends up just going back into the bush. Looks again with an ulti, E into Prowler combo, gets a Nami flash once again, has to flash the Nami ult. End up trading flash for flash. And is then hovering towards bot side because they want to have control for the Drake. And this is again where Glaive is huge because they can simply remove so much vision from the enemy team. So that you almost always have control over that side of the map. Alex ends up going for a quick recall. We'll throw the Rift Trail towards top side of the map. And we'll then probably sprint down towards the Drake that is spawning. We'll use the Hex Gate to get there even faster. And now he finally upgraded his boots by 21 minutes to the CDR boots. Once again to have his Summoner spells up faster and to have his Prowess Claw up faster. Arbelia is still top without TP, so it should be a free Drake for red team. He ends up taking a spear to the face and is now half HP and revealed, so he can't go in instantly. Blanc has a pretty good flank right here. Ends up going in onto the Nami who doesn't have flash. Alex hits another W for the slow. Aurelia is still top side, so still numbers advantage for red team. Ends up just committing to the Drake instead of chasing. Gets the dragon, denies the enemy team soul point. Enemy team decided to stick around. End up trading. And they do end up also killing the illusion, so not too bad overall. Trading tier 2 tower for a Drake and a 1 team fight. And Kha Zix buys another longsword. We'll probably look to buy Cyril's Grudge. And is probably gonna look to play around top side of the map now because Baron is up and Drake has been taken, so we'll probably look to control top side of the map with Glaive and deny enemy team vision. No, he does actually end up going bot side. We'll probably just full clear up though for some free experience. I don't think he will hang around in bot for too long, because there's not really anything to play for. Even if you could kill the Aurelia here, the enemy team could potentially rush Baron if they are hovering that top side of the map. But we do have some pretty good vision from red team on Baron, so there's those two jungle camps. Catches a mid wave and is now moving up towards top. Takes the red buff. And it's just farming up here. Really shows on bot side of the map, but does have TP, so she could potentially join the fight on top side of the map. Just hovering around the bush waiting for a teammate to either set him up or enemy team splitting so that he can get isolation damage on one shot. But realizes that nothing is going to happen here and does complete his Cyril's Grudge. And next up he has different items that he could go for. He could go for X-Shrinker if he's afraid of the AP damage. He could go for more lethality because the enemy team doesn't have too much armor as of right now. Healing reduction is already acquired by the Karma, so no point in really going that. And then he could also just go for a GA if he wants to play around that stopwatch for a really important fight. Kali's gonna try and look for a pick here. That does get spotted. Decides to just complete the control ward and not go any further because he was shown, so maybe the enemy team is looking for Kha Zix to face check a bush where they can potentially kill him, so decides to play it safe. And goes back to controlling top side of the map where once again Baron is alive and there's nothing really for enemy team to take on bot side, so he's looking for a flank here. Does go in, finds the Gwen, get a Nami flash, and now we could see Kha Zix start Baron, but going for the Nami and does end up dying for it. So now no Baron to be acquired. And Drake is now spawning in less than a minute, so I think that when Kha Zix comes out of base that he will hover around bot side of the map, just to deny the enemy team that soul point. They could technically give the Drake up, but that would mean that red team would have to contest every single Drake after that one as well. Kha Zix goes for another double longsword, so could be another lethality item. And does end up hovering around bot side to try and gain some control over that Drake. No bot side camps up for him. Does end up spotting Aurelia, who's quite far overextended here, all by herself. Waits for the Karma. Will probably look to go in here. No, decides not to go onto the Aurelia. Aurelia now face checks. Drake gets taken. Tries to use Prowess onto the Lucian. End up losing this fight, so they have to just kite and run. But it is a 3-for-0 so far in favor of blue team. But the Kha Zix and the Blanc does end up thriving. So blue team now has soul point, meaning that red team have to contest every single Drake from now on. Kha Zix can't really defend because he's a melee champion. He can only really throw out the W to try and defend, but that's not really too much wave clear, so he decides to just farm up some jungle camps, farm out mid. Does end up playing really nice around vision range. Does find a kill on Lucian and the Nidalee, meaning that red team could potentially rush Baron straight away. 3 members are down from blue team, all 5 are up from red team. And if they then get this Baron, then they can basically free farm on bot for the next 5 minutes until that next Drake then spawns. Yes, they do. They do rush the Baron straight away. It's probably gonna recall instantly to defend the base on both top and bot side. Decides to jump over the wall. Maybe take his red. Enemy team tries to randomly contest for no reason 2v4. And he finds himself another kill, bringing him to a score of 7, 5, and 6. Probably gonna look to reset here after the crux here. Evolves the E last, which is not a surprise. And he is going to full buy an Edge of Night and then another longsword. Edge of Night could be good against the Nidalee Spear or potentially Nami, but can also fairly easily get procced by abilities such as Lucian W or a Nidalee W as well. So Edge of Night is kind of the balance between an offensive item because of the lethality and the AD, but also a defensive item due to the fact that it has HP and the spell shield. They do end up finding a kill onto Gwen and decides to push top. Should be able to take this tier 2 tower on the next wave with the Baron buff. 2 cannon minions just firing away. Does end up taking this tower. They could still push a little bit longer because Gwen is still dead. It does end up killing the Blanc, so maybe it is now time to retreat and go defend the base. And we'll just E very nicely from the Aurelia. Flawless Claw in, E's out. Does not have any more Invis procs left. But does end up getting a reset from the Aurelia kill, and then jump out. And gets back into base to defend with Saya. So now Drake is about to spawn, so I'm expecting the Kha Zix to run straight towards the Drake because they can't really afford giving up soul. And Kha Zix goes for another Story, the third item. I'm assuming that this last item would be a Ghost Blade, actually. Because Serpent's Fang is not needed and Collector is just a bad item on Kha Zix overall. Meaning that the only option left would be the Ghost Blade. Rakan ends up face checking and ends up dying. But there are only 3 members left from blue team, so Kha Zix could look for a flank here. We like sitting in this bush right here in the bottom side of river. He also did this last time with the last Drake, where he was looking for the Aurelia. Just waiting for the enemy team to start it, because the enemy team does not have a jungler up. Decides to just take over pit and finish the Drake. Decides to jump out because they will get outnumbered here in a sec, because Rakan is dead. So they do get the Drake and get out.
Red team's inhibitors respawning soon.
And now the inhib is back up, so there's no longer gonna be bot side pressure from blue team. Grouping up in bot lane to take that last tier 2 tower. Should be fairly free to take. Enemy team should not be able to defend it. Enemy Lucian dies and Kha Zix ends up using that ulti E Prowler's combo again to find a Nidalee. Gets a reset and kills the Nami as well. And they're probably just gonna end the game now, because it's 1v5. And there is that triple kill. And enemy team ends up just surrendering, saving that 20 seconds time. So 10, 5 and 7 Kha Zix ends up winning the game. 204 CS against the Nidalee. Early game wasn't really too surprising, was fairly predictable. Most surprising thing was probably the fact that Kha Zix went for a lot of long swords and lethality items before going for boots. He decided to upgrade his boots at minute 21. I was actually expecting him to upgrade them a lot sooner, 2 recalls earlier actually. And then Kha Zix ended up also doing a lot of throws, but was looking for a lot of plays with the ulti into E Prowler's club combo. Whereas I would personally just use the Prowlers or ulti into Prowlers and then save my E to either follow a dash or a flash, or simply to jump out again, whereas Kha Zix is just going all in with all of the abilities and all of the gap closes that he possibly can to try and finish that kill. And this was both before he got his E evolved at level 16, but also afterwards. Afterwards, it does kind of make sense because you do get that reset on kill, so you could just commit with everything, get the kill and jump out again. But before level 16, some of the plays were a bit questionable, but there were also a bunch of throws and random fights that he decided to take where he was outnumbered. But yeah, overall, I'd say a pretty messy game for a challenger elo game, but it is season 12 after all, so